So when we are talking of other composers apart from the Trinity, we just saw some composers, especially from the Tamil tradition, who lived before the Trinity. After the Trinity, we have their own disciples, many of whom were excellent Vagyakaras, and they mostly modeled their compositions after their guru, respective gurus. Now, Tyagaraja probably had the strongest Shishya Parampara, as it is called. This Shishya Parampara is a lineage of disciples. Tyagaraja had, we speak of 3 different Shishya Paramparas of Tyagaraja: the Valajapet, the Umyalapuram, and the Tilaisthanam. We speak of them as separate Shishya Paramparas because they were propagated through 3 different individuals, all of them Shishyas of Tyagaraja. The recensions of the songs are also, the compositions are also slightly different, sometimes quite different. Now, Valajapet Venkatramana Bhagavatar, who was Tyagaraja's disciple, a beloved disciple, we are told, he was a composer of considerable merit. He composed in Telugu, and in fact his composition on his own guru, on Tyagaraja Swami, in Ananda Bhairavi, is a gem of a kriti. He says, Guru Varu Mahimala Nemani Bhuvilo Kuniyadadura. The Mahima, the greatness of the Guru, it's not possible to describe it. And there are many other compositions of his which have come down to us. In fact, Valajapet Venkatramana Bhagavatar also was one of the, he is the source of information about Tyagaraja, because he wrote a couple of biographies about his guru. Other composers in the Tyagaraja lineage are Tyagaraja's own disciple Veena Kupaya, whose compositions are precious little gems. Veena Kupaya lived in Madras, and Tyagaraja in fact visited him when he went on a pilgrimage, and it is said that he composed a song. Veena Kupaya's Ishta Devata was Venugopala, and Tyagaraja composed a kriti in Kedaragaule, Venugana Lolude, when he visited his disciple. And Veena Kupaya has given us many beautiful compositions. Another great composer, also of the Tyagaraja lineage, was Patnam Subramanyakir. Patnam Subramanyakir's Ankita was Venkateshwara, and there's a good number of his compositions which are very popular on the concert platform as well. Puchi Srinivas Iyengar, he was another Shishya of Tyagaraja, who also was a meritorious Vagyakara. Now, Shama Shastri, he, his own son and grandson, Subbaraya Shastri and Annaswamy Shastri, they were very, very interesting, remarkable composers. Subbaraya Shastri, in fact, had the privilege of learning from all 3, from Muthuswami Dikshitar, Tyagaraja, as well as his own father. Now, Muthuswami Dikshitar had many disciples. In fact, it is recorded that a temple dancer was also a disciple of his. his nephew Subrama Dikshitar was a Bhagyekara, and just one composition of his is enough to earn him a place in this galaxy of composers, and that is his composition Shankaracharyam Smaramyaham in Shankarabharanam. It's a magnificent composition. But the contribution of Subrama Dikshitar is more than in his capacity as a Vagyekara. He authored a book called the Sangeeta Sampradaya Pradarshini. It is called SSP for short. This book was published in 1904, and it has a very, very interesting story behind it, how it came to be. And the main characters in the story are Subrama Dikshitar himself, who is an orthodox Brahmin attached to the Ettayapuram Samsthanam, the court of Ettayapuram. The other very important character in the story is one Chinnaswami Mudaliyar, who was a Catholic Christian living in Madras at that time. And other small, very critical roles were also played by the Hindu newspaper and the Raja of Ettayapuram. You can read the story at this link. But so the Sangeeta Sampradaya Pradarshini was written at the behest of Chinnaswami Mudaliyar and with encouragement from the Raja, and it is a treasure of compositions. Subrama Dikshitar has very painstakingly notated a whole lot of compositions in this, not just kritis, also varnams and lakshana geetams and so on. And he has also tried to indicate the gamakas of the compositions, how the gamakas are to be rendered. So it was a labor of love, and a very, very it's a task that he must have toiled at. And it's because of this book that many of the compositions that are in circulation today, many magnificent compositions, they have been passed on to the later generations. Another important set of disciples that Muthuswami Dikshitar had were the Tanjore quartet. They were called the Tanjai Nalvar or the Tanjore quartet. They were 4 brothers, Chinnaya, Ponnaya, Vadivelu and Sadashivam. These were 4 musically gifted brothers who were disciples of Dikshitar. They were patronized by the Maratha king, and it was during that sojourn, that stay, that they were patrons of Dikshitar. And in fact, they have composed compositions in praise of their guru. And Ponnaya Pillai, who was a composer of significant merit, he has used the Ankita of Guru Guha Dasa. He calls himself the slave of Guru Guha, of Dikshitar. That's how he signs his compositions. Another magnificent composition in Neelambari Raga, Amba Neelambari, it seems to be a tribute to Muthuswami Dikshitar's composition, the same raga, Amba Neelayatakshi. So these 4 were, they have had a very, very strong role in the performing arts of South India. The dance form that is today called Bharatanatyam, it was earlier called Sadar. Now these 4 brothers have systematized the repertoire, the steps, the content of the dance. Eventually they moved to the court of Travancore, where we have where we had another great composer in the king himself of Travancore. This was Swati Tirunal. Swati Tirunal particularly is supposed to have patronized Vadivelu,